Okay, the reading for this week is Matsuo Bashō's Genjūan Ki. Right? The translation is The Hut of the Phantom Dwelling, translated by Burton Watson. And this is a very short piece, so I'm going to actually read the entire English translation in this video after explaining the questions on the study guide. Okay, so we're going to run through this fairly quickly. Matsuo Bashō's Genjūan Ki, written in 1690. Matsuo Bashō, as you probably know, is the most famous poet of the Edo period. During his lifetime, he was recognized for his works in the collaborative Heikai no Renga form. Heikai no Renga. Look that up. Today, he is recognized as a master of brief and clear haiku, right? But he was really, essentially, a haikai poet. So know the difference between haikai and haiku. His poetry is internationally renowned, and within Japan, many of his poems are reproduced on monuments, traditional sites. He's also celebrated for his poetic prose, and we'll be reading one of his works of poetic prose right now. The most famous, of course, is Oku no Hosomichi, The Narrow Road to Oku. It is probably the most widely read work of Japanese classical literature, or early modern literature, technically, because this is work written in the Edo period, which is early modern period. Although all 5 diaries rank as masterpieces of diary literature, Nikki Bungaku, a peculiarly Japanese genre. Alright, study questions. We'll jump right in. Number 1. The Shinto shrine near the narrator's hut incorporates Buddhist elements as well, right? So there's mixing of Shinto elements and Buddhist elements in this Shinto shrine. Describe this fusion. Explain its significance in the context of the story, right? So you might want to look into this fusion of Shinto and Buddhism, and they were the two, to make a long story short, the two were inextricably linked throughout much of Japanese history until the Meiji period, when they were the separation between the two was forced, and Buddhism became Buddhism, which is from the outside, from a foreign country, whereas Shinto was the native religion, and it was elevated to a state, a sort of nationalistic ideology. But in this work, the two are interfused. Explain this in the context of the story. Number 2, describe the narrator. Okay, who is narrating? Describe his age, occupation, background, current activities and interests, his current residence, possessions, philosophy of life. Why has he gone into reclusion? Is he simply a lover of solitude? Explain, right? And as you read this work, you should keep in the back of your head this genre of hermit or hermetic literature, recluse literature, that is very, very prominent in the entire Sino-Japanese tradition. We read the Hojoki, right, by Kemmu no Chome, which is an example of this. Somebody goes to live as a recluse, away from society, in order to pursue his own interests, right? So Matsuo Bashō, of course, has all of that in mind as he writes this work, right? He has the Taoist classics in mind as well, right? Number 3. How long has the narrator been living in this remote hut? Why do you think he has chosen this particular area, beyond Ishiyama, on the southern shore of Lake Biwa, east of Kyoto? What's the significance of this spot? Right, he didn't choose this arbitrarily or just because it had a nice scene, a nice view. Number 4. The narrator states that he moved to this hut in the 4th month, the 1st month of summer. Right? To what month of the Western or the Gregorian calendar does the 4th month of the lunar calendar correspond? Right? So this is a conversion that you have to make whenever you read early modern works of Japanese literature or pre-modern works of Japanese literature. This conversion from the old lunar calendar called the Kyureki to the Western calendar. Right? Keep in mind that the 4th month does not mean from March, April. Right? The 1st month does not mean January in our calendar. Number 5. What season is it now, as he's writing, as he's narrating? How long has the narrator been living in this hut? Okay, simple, straightforward question. Number 6. Make a list of all the natural elements, both plant and animal, that appear in the text. Explain their significance. So again, he's writing within a tradition in which all of these natural phenomena have specific meanings, or hon-i is the word that's often used for this, the essential associations, right? He's not just writing about an animal because it actually appeared to him in front of him, right? He's writing about it because it appears in Chinese poetry, for example, or in previous works that he constantly has in the back of his mind as he's writing. Number 7. Make a list of all the cultural and literary allusions, both implicit and explicit, that appear in the text. Note there are many, alright? And to the extent that you can, explain their function and their significance, right? So this might require some looking into Chinese poetry, for example, at least the ones that are referenced in this work. Number 8. Discuss the name he gives to the hut, the Genjūan. Is this name a metaphor for something? Why does he call the Genjūan Maboroshi no Sumai? Right? Number 9. Who, if anyone, visits the narrator while he is living in this remote hut? Explain these interactions. So you remember in the whole Joki, the narrator of that work lives in a hut and has no communication, no contact with other humans except for one person, right? The young boy in that case. In this case, with whom does he interact? Number 10. Judging from the narrator's account, how do you think he has changed over the years? Explain. Right? So, as in the whole Joki, we see a kind of contrast between himself as he used to be and himself now. There's sort of suggested a kind of change or growth in his own moral or spiritual or intellectual or literary development. Right? Explain that. Number 11. Discuss the hokku. Hokku is just the original word for a haiku. It's another way of saying haiku. Hokku is the first first poem in a sequence of renga, linked verse, right? So the hokku usually is followed by other ones, but here it ends the piece, right? This hokku at the end is mazu tanomu, shi noki mo ari, natsu kodachi. Right? The translation is in the text that I'm about to read now. Okay, but first, number 12, final question. To what genre of writing does this work belong? What similar works from the past can you think of that it resembles? How does this work relate to those? Explain. Okay. So you will have answered that question to some extent in your answers to the other questions. Okay, where are we? I don't know where I am. Okay, now I'm going to read the story. The hut of the phantom dwelling. Beyond Ishiyama, with its back to Iwama, is a hill called Kokubu Yama. The name, I think, derives from a Kokubunji, or government temple of long ago. If you cross the narrow stream that runs at the foot, and climb the slope for 3 turnings of the road, some 200 paces each, you come to a shrine of the god Hachiman. The object of worship is a statue of the Buddha Amida. This is the sort of thing that is greatly abhorred by the Yuitsu school, though I regard it as admirable that, as the Ryobu asserted, the Buddhas should dim their light and mingle with the dust in order to benefit the world. Ordinarily, few worshippers visit the shrine, and it's very solemn and still. Beside it is an abandoned hut with a rush door. Brambles and bamboo, grass, overgrow. Alright, it's too hard to walk in a park and read at the same time. So I'm going to stop and let you read the rest of it. Okay? And I think the original Japanese is, yes it is, included in the in the last part of the study guide, with footnotes included in Japanese. So do your best to read that as well if you can. And you can get your Japanese native speaking classmates to help you with any of the details. Alright, if you have any questions, email me. Bye bye.